2008. He started his career as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, NIT Trichy, from 2009. His research interests include high performance concrete materials and high performance pre-stressed concrete bridges. He is an active member in various professional bodies related to structural engineering and materials. He has secured so many awards. To mention a few, he was awarded twice for the International Travel Grant Scheme for Young Scientist awarded by SERB DST during the year 2011 and 2015. He won a national award for the Innovative Students Best Project Award at bachelor level, awarded by Indian National Academy of Engineers, New Delhi. He has been awarded as a Best Outstanding and Best Outgoing Student under his graduate and postgraduate studies. He has presented more than 25 technical papers during his UG and PG studies in the students' symposium or events conducted by various institutes and secured and won so many prizes. He has been to USA, Canada, Europe countries to mention a few, France, Switzerland, Czech Republic, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka for presenting the technical papers and visiting various universities and professional bodies related towards his profession. He has published nearly 60 research papers in his credit in top journals and international conferences. He has a patent also in his account, and he is now guiding so many PhD students, around 7 PhD students, and also guided 5 MS and PhD scholars. He has given so many invited talks, around 25 invited talks to various institutions all around India. So today, we are very much glad to invite you for this STTP, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Today, he will give a talk about forensic and failure analysis of structures. Sir, please carry on with the lectures.
Thank you, madam. So, a very good afternoon to all present here. And being the very last session, you might be pampered with 11 sessions, and this is the last session. Mostly, I will try my level best not to bore you, and I will go straight down to the earth by not dragging too much or eating too much of time. I will contain my presentation for just 50 to 1 hour and 15 minutes within that, or even lesser than that. So today the topic will be very interesting, that is the forensic engineering and failure analysis of structures. So to know this, you must have some preliminary background analysis. You must be well thorough with the basics like structural designs, how the behave, especially in the behavior of structural elements, how it will undergo after loading, how the failure pattern will be there, will occur, and all those things. And you should have a sound knowledge with materials and concrete behavior also. So that is also another added advantage which you have to mandatory know. And before going into the session, if you are more focused about forensic engineering and failure analysis, I have put lots of videos related to forensic engineering and failure analysis in my YouTube channel. So you can just search, just type Karthikeyan Jaykumar in the YouTube search page, and if you can go to my directly, you can go to my channel, and I have put many informative useful videos and many presentations like this and some class lectures. Last year we conducted a Gyan course in our institute. Professor Shenan from University of Charlotte, that is North Carolina, Charlotte. He has delivered nearly 10 presentations. So it was a 2-week Gyan program. So very useful materials related to forensic engineering and failure analysis. If you want to elaborately know about that, it would be an opportunity for you. Though you are not there, if you are unable to participate in the course, You will be having an opportunity to see that. So, with this brief introduction, we will see what is this forensic and failure analysis. Mainly today, I am going to cover few aspects when the structure undergoes deterioration, how to address. I'm not going to tell you the remedial solution. How will you come to diagnose that? So, because we have to be very much focused in the initial portion, how it has to be diagnosed and what was the root cause. So, those things you should know. What are all the actions that you have to take before going for any implementation? That is very important. So, lots of information is there, but to be speaking, so this is the thing. First and foremost, consumption high made by the human being is water. Not only human being, other living creature also. Next to water is concrete. So wherever you have infrastructure, buildings, without concrete, nothing has happened. Whether it is bridges, roads, railway girders, whatever it is, underpass, whatever you take, without concrete, nothing comes into it. So as the population growth increases, the infrastructure also will get increased, and naturally you will be bound to build more structures like this. And we know that mostly this is with concrete. Still, there is no replacement material for concrete. So we know this as sort, that is, it is a mixture of concrete is a mixture of two or more components like cement, aggregate, water, and admixture. So these are all well-known definitions. Now my question is, how good enough? Why this forensic and failure investigation we have to make? What is the ultimate root cause? When some structures, these are very ancient structures which was built in the 3000 BCs or 6000 BCs old structures. So this is a simple view of an Egyptian pyramid. So it is long lasting, and it is made up of with geopolymers. It is made up of with geopolymers. The concrete was not deteriorated. Of course, it is in the desert area. We know the temperature in the Egypt, it will be too high. So even after 6,000, 7,000 years old, uh, the structure seems to be long lasting. You see this building? This is the Phantom Dome in Italy, that is in Rome. That is, this dome was the first construction with lime concrete. So the dome portion was made with RCC, and it's an RCC structure. They have used some fibers also. Still, this is long lasting. So this was built long ago in the BCs. Say this age of this structure is around 3,500 or at least 2,000 years old. Still, it is long lasting. Not even a single crack. Maybe some minor maintenance will be there, but not too much. So, how good enough like this? Another structure, an aqueduct. So, what happened? So, those days, the structures which was built was intact, no durability issue, nothing. But now, when we come to this scenario, in the past 6 decades, that is in the past 60 years, something went wrong. Now, this is a modern RC bridge. You see how badly these elements have been corroded. You see this portion? You see here? So all these portions, that is the side burns, where this is an RCC structure, this is severely it got corroded. Why? This is just a 20 years old structure, but what was the problem? When Egyptian pyramid is intact, then Phantom building was intact, even after 2000 years, it is long lasting. What is the problem? What we were wrong in this past 6 decades? And the age of the structure is less than 20 years old, but there is a severe deterioration. What was the mistake? Why? So this is the topic which we will be seeing. Why it has happened? What is the root cause? So here there is no question like maybe it might be. You cannot say like that. Maybe, might be means you yourself you are doubtful with the structure. You are not very confident enough. Why is that? So first and foremost, we need to address the problem. What is the primary root cause for this? So the root cause possibilities is broadly classified in four types, in which I have segregated into four classification. So we need to just diagnose the issue, whether it will be because of this. So we have to, because lots and lots of, suppose when a problem comes, you are very severely, you are sick. So when you go to the doctor will not put you injection, or he will not give you a medicine immediately. He won't give you immediately. He will ask you lots and lots of questions. What is the symptom? How did you face? What was the problem that was encountered? How long you are facing this issue? So he will be asking some symptoms, whatever that comes one by one, and based on that he will diagnose. Okay, so this okay, this guy had taken something like got food poison, and he didn't take any other thing, and further subsequent he got this problem, etc., etc. He will do the thing. So the same sort of exercise, you need to diagnose, you need to do some work. So in that, the first thing is, what are all the things? First, change in use, deterioration, faulty construction, structural damage. So you need to dig out with all these aspects, and you have to see. So change in use means, what happens is, whether that well, let us take an example. You have built a bridge, suppose in the year 1940s. So in the later 2010s or 2015, it got severely damaged. So what happened? Might be because of the live load increase. So when your axle load of your vehicles have been increased, the bridge would not have been a position to take care of that load. So when he has brought some sophisticated new equipment, so naturally the axle load of the vehicle will be very large, and everything, in which it won't be. So that will be the thing. Then if you have done any retrofitting, seismic retrofitting, or any blast upgrades, so when you have done some blasting because of some vibration, so there might be some distortion in your structure, some lateral movement in your structure, where the elements can be distorted. So these issues are called as change in issue. And when you talk about the deterioration, this is purely about your material property. So what happens? The deterioration is mainly by durability action. So when the durability is, what is the definition of the durability? The ability of the concrete to withstand all the weathering action. So when it doesn't withstand the weathering action, then the concrete is not a durable concrete. So thereby, the first and foremost durability issue that comes is one of the durability causes, where primarily all structures is getting encountered. The deterioration means corrosion only. That only comes because we are reinforcing with the steel, either Fe415 or Fe550 or Fe250 steel you might have been used. So naturally that gets corroded. It's a pure electrochemical reaction. Then some sectional properties will lose. So when there is some deterioration, when your concrete gets scaled or anything, the surface gets scaled off, you will get loss in section. You would have designed the deck slab as 250 mm or 300 mm for your bridge. So that 300 mm would have been as 240 mm or 220 mm at last, because of the severe deterioration. Then finally, cracking. Naturally, when it gets loaded, so when the ability to not to withstand that load, thereby the tension will create at the bottom face and it cracks. So this is one thing. The next one, faulty construction. What is the other category? So this is, you have to be very careful, because I always used to speak about the quality control and everything. So faulty construction means you have to take care how you are tying the rebars. whether you are using it in a proportionate manner, whatever that is mentioned in your design book. So whatever it is mentioned in your drawing, design drawing. So for that, have you taken that and have you implemented the same? Whether you have gone in a higher side or you lessened some 2 bars, whatever in the specification of the design that was given in the drawing, or you have made. So these are all some missing of reinforcement. So either it can be over reinforced or it can be in the lower side. So this is one thing. Then incorrect reinforcing details. So incorrect reinforcing detail, what I used to say is the lap length. So you will be using some development length. You will be cutting. You will get some cut rods and other sorts of things, especially the lapping, or you will be doing some cranking in the bars. So when you are doing that, instead of going for a 30-degree angle or a 45-degree angle, if you have done some errors in that, so that is called incorrect reinforcing detail. Then low concrete strength. So the concrete made with a poor quality, excessive water cement ratio, selecting substandard materials. So these all leads to low concrete strength. That is the factors that affect the strength properties of your concrete. What are all the factors? So this is one. Then the next one is the structural damage. So when there is a sudden impact, so that concrete structure is unable to withstand that impact, it cracks. So that is one category. Then excessive wear, overload. You give some horizontal abrasion very abnormally. So at that time, the structure won't be in a position. Then some fire. Unfortunately, some fire has occurred. That structure has exhibited with fire, and naturally when it is subjected to the fire, the concrete has an ability to withstand up to 300 degrees. It can show its original face, and after that its property will abruptly vary. The strength reduction will be enormous. So this is an important phenomenon. Then finally, natural disaster. Why I have highlighted seismic retrofitting and natural disaster is because these comes naturally, whereas other things was done by ourselves. It was our humans, but natural disaster is not done by the humans. Whatever the problem that is encountered, so that we cannot stop. Whereas whatever I have shown in the yellow color fonts, that yellow color we can rectify it, because these are all human errors, man-made errors. But the red highlighter, whatever I have highlighted using red, that we cannot. We can safeguard the structure to some better possible extent. So up to a maximum of 9.2 or 9.3 Richter scale has hit in a very unusual manner. But on an average, it will be like 7 point. When the earthquake prone zone is very less, it will get impacted with 1 point, 2 point, 3.3 Richter scale, like that. So where the intensity will be very less. So at the time, that is the reason why we have split it into 5 different zones. So based on that impact, we have to design the structure. So this is another thing. So that is the reason why natural disaster, we cannot completely rectify it. We can safeguard to some extent. When tsunami hits, it happens. Some structures might be, if you have recently taken those forces, that wave forces and everything that impact into your design, your structure would have been safeguarded. Otherwise, it will undergo severe failure. So these are the things which we can't completely eradicate. We cannot completely safeguard the structure. Sometimes the loss happens will be significant. So now, what is the weakness in reinforced concrete? So these 4 points have to be kept in mind, whatever I have shown previously. So based on these 4 points, you have to start building. So I'm telling you now first, what is the disadvantage of using RCC? I'm not telling all RCC, you have to use it, but you have to use it with proper precaution. But if you fail to lethargically, if you start implementing the things, then you will get some serious disturbances like this. You see how badly this beam is affected. You see this portion. So abruptly, this is purely based on the corrosion action. And you see the quality of concrete, how poor it is. So that is the thing. So what is the weakness behind? So it is more susceptible to the environmental attack. That's why IS 456 2000 always says from mild to extreme environmental condition. So please use a maximum water cement ratio of this much. So please use a minimum cement content of this much. In case if you are using PCC, use this much. In case if you are going for RCC construction, use this much. So that is the reason why they have categorized these 5 different environmental exposure condition, and you got to use it very carefully. So here I presume that this concrete is of poor quality. So it has given enough of room to ingress all your moisture, that is your O2 and other agents, external agents, that is ingress. So this is the problem is with the concrete first, and then thereby when the ingress of moisture has occurred, so the electrochemical reaction has started and it started peeling off. So this is one thing. So whereas the reinforcement whatever they have tied for this beam element and everything is very very obvious, very clear. It is very perfect also. But the thing is the deterioration. The deterioration is the concrete. The problem is with the concrete quality. So this is one thing. So what are all the things? So these aspects you have to take in a very serious way. That is the deterioration that accelerates under humid condition, the environmental exposure condition. Marine, when the same thing, if you expose it to very extreme condition, that is in the marine exposure, the concrete quality will be worse. Please don't go with M25 grade concrete in a marine exposed, under a marine exposure where the seashore is very close. That is the problem here. The quality of the concrete is very, very poor. So in that case, the minimum grade of the concrete should be M40 and above. Please keep into mind. So this is the reason for the deterioration. So when you undergo with such type of weakness, we cannot control anything. So naturally, all the things will come. So corrosion leads, then spalling of concrete, because corrosion will start. Yeah, because only through the concrete only these agents will be penetrated. That is the reason why you have to make it more highly impermeable concrete. If you make it more permeable, if you do it with excessive water cement ratio, then what will happen is it will all these agents will easily ingress, and you have plus ions, Fe2 plus ions. So O is the negative ion. When that fuses, electrochemical reaction takes place. So that leads, due to the external stress, what happens? The concrete will start spalling. Then the reinforcement will be exposed, and the bond between the concrete and steel will reduce. Thereby, the strength also gets reduced. So this is how your repair work start. That is the reason why I say please be very careful when you are doing your concreting. Select the appropriate materials, check for the environmental exposure condition, go for a quality construction. So these errors, we cannot say this is a natural error. This is a man-made error, which we have done. So we can rectify. But the same thing, when the impact of earthquake or anything would have hit, the behavior or the pattern of the structure will be totally different. Okay, so completely it would have been collapsed, or you could have seen some distortion, lateral distortion, where the alignment of your members and the way of the failure mode would have been completely changed. So this is another important issue. So this is a practical case study which I have been to Nagapattinam, say some 10 years ago. This is a police quarters building in Nagapattinam. What happened is it is a 25-year-old building, but for the past 5-6 years they weren't using this. So don't think these are just the termites. It is not the termites. It is the peeling of the rebars, and it has peeled and it is hanging here. So you see how bad is the condition and how worse is the concrete. So the people the PWD people came to me and they were asking for the what is the opinion? Can we retain this? Uh, Actually speaking, this is a five-story building. It is a police quarter building, and what happened is at one point of time when I was moving to the third level and fourth level of the building, the staircase was very bad enough. So when we climbed itself, the concrete started falling down. You see how good how how risky it was. So then the people who engineers over there, they were trying to pull me out. Sir, we will go immediately. Then I said, no, no, no. Let us go inside and we will see what is going to happen. No problem. If something happens, we will jump. No issues. What will happen? Only some leg or some bones will get fractured. No problem. I went with some bets because 10 years ago means I was still young, right? So I was not scared enough to go. I was very keen to see what is the thing, because I cannot just go directly, because the structure is, of course, it is in a very bad position, but why that has come? So that was there. So we went to the fourth floor level, and the seashore was very close. It was just 800 meters or 900 meters. So this was built somewhere in the year 99 or 98. So that time M20 concrete, nobody use M20 concrete over there. They just simply go with 1 to 4. They use 1:3:6, or they go with some 0.7 water cement ratio, and they have done. They were never bothered whether it is a seashore area or whatever it is. That impact was not that much. And the temperature in Nagapattinam also, you will be knowing very well, it will be very high. Plus you have some since it is very closer to seashore, these all will be in extreme condition. So I have taken this small sample of the spalled concrete, and what happened, I just simply crushed with my hand. What happened is some portion of the concrete got crushed when I was pressing itself. Whatever that came from the subsequent roof. So the condition was too bad. So then we were there for 10 minutes, and the engineers, they said, no, absolutely no. Then I said, don't, everybody please don't come. Let me go with one or two people. Let them come for me to safeguard me. If something happens, you others, you people, be in the downstairs. I said like that, and we went, and you see the quality of the concrete, how poor it is. So these are all the spalling portions, which is abruptly held. So in this case, what it has happened, then I was started digging the histories, whatever it is. So I came to know that the concrete quality was poor, and they didn't follow the procedure, proper thing. And more importantly, the cover block that is given to this roof slab was totally insufficient. And when the concrete quality is poor, this cover block and other things is secondary only. So now you have to make a very highly impermeable concrete, then only you will not be faced to this extent. Then finally my conclusion was, you have to just demolish the thing, and you have to go for the new construction. They were asking, can we do some repair work? Then I said, you could have done the repair work if you have occupied and if you were using. But what happened, for past 6 years they didn't use this structure. When this deterioration and other things were there, they just kept it for past 3 years just like that. If they would have attended this problem some 5 years ago, we could have safeguarded to some extent the maintenance, the dampness, abrupt dampness in the walls and everything. The condition has become worse and worse. So then finally I told, otherwise, then I said, if you want to go for repair work, you just calculate the present cost was 3 times than that of the present cost of the estimated cost for the repair work. Suppose, say, if this total cost of the building for that value is some 15 crores, or let us say that it is 50 crores. 50 crores. So if it is 50 crores, so the repair cost was going like 60 crores or 70 crores. For that, I said that you could have gone for some new construction. you can go for, you can demolish this. So we were seeing the foundation and everything. Foundation was strong enough, it was good, but the superstructure was very bad. So then we told to demolish the superstructure, the five levels completely, and we told them to rebuild, reconstruct. So this was the procedure. So these are some verse. Still many things were there, many other places I have been. So this is a small part of case study which I have shown, which I want to show you. Lots of worse and worse things were worse than this also. So that is the thing. So in this circumstance, we have to diagnose. So the why I have been there to the fourth floor with the risk is because I want to know what has happened actually. So just blindly I cannot. I have to collect some evidence. So see, if this is a private concern or something, they will be imposing me thousands of questions. Why? What happened? What is the proof? In what way you are telling this is damage? So I need to take some proof. So a very good valid proof in my hand is this. I can say how bad is the concrete, and moreover, they have left it for 5 years without unoccupying. They didn't attend anything. After 5 years, after further undergoing more and more deterioration, if they want the repair work, how to do? We can do it, but what happens is the cost is going up. So for that purpose only, we have to collect some evidence. So that is the reason why we call this as a forensic engineering. Just imagine some murder has occurred. So when the police officials come to investigate how this murder has occurred, what was the root cause, they will not allow other public to come and touch. So they will be calling the forensic people to see, take the fingerprints if any. So with that fingerprints, they will be having the criminal list. So they will be scanning and they can identify the person. So this is called as the forensic investigation. So the intelligence. So they are collecting some proof. So it is the thing, like if the police fellow has caught that convicted fellow, so naturally the opposition lawyer will defend. He will say that my client is innocent. He has not done. So what is the proof? The judge will ask, what is the proof that he has killed, he has murdered? So you have to collect some evidence. So that evidence is called as the forensic engineering. So for the same manner, for structure also, you should know what is the reason of this failure. Then only you can come, because many things will be in legal aspects will come. Whenever this some sort of sudden failure and other things comes, it will go into the legal aspect. So the person who has nominated as a third party or a visitor, he should be capable of explaining the things. So he has to collect the evidence. So unfortunately, they were not having any detailing, or they were not having any material testing report. I was asking them, immediately I was asking them, you are having any previous report? You said that it was built in the early 96, 90, 95s. So do you have any test reports, material testing reports or art testing report, concrete design mix? Then only I came to know they didn't do any concrete design mix. They just gone with 1:2:4 with a water cement ratio of 0.55, 0.7 with 0.7. So that is the thing. That too they didn't say 0.7. I have calculated. I was asking how much bulky of water you have used for this thing. So the person who has constructed, a old person was there. So he has told the specification. From that we were. So we need. So when you do the forensic investigation, being a higher official, you should not be feeling reluctant to talk with the lower people. You will get some clues. Normally, when I go for the investigation, I don't bother the chief engineer or assistant executive engineer talks. Their thing is also very important. But I will be, because I am in touch with them forever. So no problem. But the people like these people, the masons who are all involved, I will be going down to them and I will be asking. So we will get some valid informations from them. So these are some clues to collect the things. So this is the thing which you have learned in your concrete technology, how this corrosion propagates. So ingress of air and moisture. So this leads to further what will happen is uh, that is due to the sudden ingress of air and moisture. So this is the output. Something is happening. Okay. So you can see here. So this leads to corrosion. Okay. So more the permeable is your concrete. So when this goes, the electrochemical reaction happens. So this element, your steel bars will get stressed and it forms rust. Fe2O3 forms. So this is another photograph of a building which was subjected to fire. You have to be very careful because we don't know how that concrete will behave. You should know the intensity of the fire, how much it is hit. Though the external temperature was like 150 or something, the internal heat will be like 80 degrees or 90 degrees. So it is okay. So only when it is like that, your concrete was safeguarded to this much extent. Otherwise, it would be a buff. You cannot see anything. You see here. So these are the less impact one. If the fire intensity was too high, you see how the AC duct was melted. This is a commercial building, so suddenly it got fire. So uh, so how to do? So we should be in a position to do the repair work. See, when for this such type of commercial buildings, they would have been insured. So the insurance people will come and they will be inspecting, so they will be more reliable towards the report who the third party agent has to be. So that too, with the government organization, that particular person, the expert, has to certify that this has undergone and this was the root cause. Unless otherwise, the proof of this, the insurance amount will not be claimed. So it cannot be claimed. So these things will become very, very important. So you should be in a position to know what is happening. So why this has occurred? So of course the intensity of this fire was very minimum, so we had safeguarded this. So the photograph of that is also will be coming further. So in that four subdivisions, the fire damage I have given you. So for that only, to show that, I have just shown the two photographs, but however we will see it in the later part. See, this is the change in loading pattern, whatever we have seen in that four flow chart, no, in that. So the first thing, so imagine in 1950 the truck size was only this much, so the axle load was very less, so the bridge was there. So whenever you go with some way bridge or something, they will be telling that the bridge weight is axle load is this much only, so you have to, they should have the way bridge record, and then only the police person will allow that truck to bypass that bridge. Otherwise the bridge will undergo failure. So if not, he has to go around and he has to come. So the place to go to one place to the other place will be just 10 kilometers if he bypasses this bridge. So if the load was not meeting the requirement, then he has to move 50 kilometers away, and he has to take a big ground, and he has to come to that destination. So that is the difference. So that is the reason why in 1950s and 2000 the variation is more, because of the population demand. The population in 1950 was very less compared to 2000, but in 2000 it is very abrupt. So these are all the factors you have to keep in your mind, right? Finally, what are all the things, right? We have um, uh, come to certain what is it, some skeletal of that. So how can we appraise this? So he says that establish brief, check for access and safety, undertake initial appraisal, carry out desktop study, detailed investigation, analysis of data, identification of damage and problem, suggestion for remedial, consider legal matters, if any. Definitely it will come. in something. In many cases it will come 95%, whatever the forensic investigation it will be, there will be some legal matters. So so it should be properly documented. Finally, preparation and final submission. So see here, check for access and safety. Like you should not just go like I have been to Nagapattinam, that building. No, same way you should see the safety also, because our safety is also very important. So now if you may tell me to go over there, I will think twice. I will not immediately go. I will ask them to put some other means to investigate to come to that place. But I will not directly claim, because now it is not. I'm not like how I was 10 years ago. So those things are there. So it is like that. So these things you have to carry out. You have to take. You have to get the data. That is our duty. So only after that only you can give the final report. So for all those things, you should take the evidence. If any testing and everything is required, you have to do. See, what is this initial appraisal? First and foremost, visual inspection. Don't say that don't sit here and ask the client to send the photograph. That is a wrong concept. You have to go to that structure and you have to visually inspect. If there is no provision, they have to make some alternate for you, either to come across with using the ladder or something. You should physically inspect. When you go there, you will get some evidence. Unless otherwise, you just sit in the four walls, and if you ask for photographs, which will never come, because site inspection, visual inspection is very very important. So whatever you see, because you cannot go, because say if I have a structure that is deteriorated somewhere in Mudumalai and the people are calling me PWA people, so I cannot go and come to Mudumalai quite often. So once when I go, I have to utilize it completely. I have to take as much as evidence. I should study the structure completely. Then study as inbuilt, as built drawing and structural calculation. You have to see whether it has undergone any structural failure, any underside of designing, if anything has happened. So all those diagnoses you have to do. Then if they have some test reports, previously material test reports at the time of construction, whatever they have done, or some third party inspection reports, if there is there, you have to take all those things. So you have to see the historic records, whatever it is in the past. Don't miss any record. So that is very very important. Then naturally, when you go to that area, you should be in a position to study what are all its climatic and environmental records. So first and foremost, whenever I go, I will ask, I will be seeing in the area, which area, Vedaranyama. Vedaranyam means definitely it is extreme only. So I will be asking how far it is away from the sea, your structure, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers. I will be asking. So from that, I will be coming to. I will get some clue. So each and everything, whatever you ask, you will have some points to write your reports. Finally, you should do non-destructive testing. Non-destructive testing is very very important. So always a forensic investigator who goes, he has to he should make sure that these tools, at least if not full, some partial amount, say some 50% or 60% of this tools should be ready. You should tell at least the engineer side who is calling, the PWT people or somebody who is taking you. You have to tell them, okay, please ensure that. Or if you have your own kit, you can take the kit over there and you can test. Better you can have your own kit rather than telling them, because you are investigating, you are giving the report. So don't rely on any third persons. So these are some simple NDT tests. Your rebound hammer, ultrasonic pulse velocity, whatever is required as per the site condition, you have to take, and you have to work. Then from that, what is the outcome based on your initial appraisal? What are all you are going to recommend immediately? See, suppose if I was suggesting some repair and rehabilitation method in that police quarters building, I must tell them, the person who works attends that he should he should be freed from the dangerous things. So I have so proper propping or any other things, the temporary supports and everything should be made rigid in such a way that the person who works over there should not get any risk. So those recommendations and everything you have to give. Then you should say some appropriate technique. There are numerous techniques. So what are all the best technique that can be implemented? Repair and rehabilitation technique, you can say. Then identify the probable cause of damage under the detailed investigation, until the detailed investigation. So you should, it is your duty to, that is the thing, you should analyze this failure. So is this a corrosion crack, or is this an alkali aggregate crack? So or else is this a carbonation? Whether this concrete was carbonated and other things has come into the picture. All those things you have to find. Then finally you should be in a position to give the cost. See, they were asking, na? I told to call off the thing for repair in the police quarters building. I told that it will be at least 60 to 80 lakhs when you repair. Not like say 80 crores, if you, because that is a very huge massive structure. The square feet is quite long, like that you have 10 blocks, so the cost is very high. So then I told, for that you can go for the new construction, I was suggesting. Then finally they came to a conclusion that they will go for this. So they wanted the opinion. So you should be in a position to estimate the cost also. You see another one example. So these are all, why I am putting this photograph is, this is another basement framed structure building in the sub basement. You see the quality of the concrete. You see it is very poor here, though the steel reinforcement and the stirrups were done okay, but still you see the quality of the concrete, there is no proper packing. So thereby it got severely corroded, but still the bars are not massively corroded. It has some life, but still we can strengthen. But the process is quite tedious. So for that, if you just pack it with some mortars or anything, again in after 5 years that mortar portion alone will get fallen down. So that is not the correct practice of repairing. So you can think that it is just very cheap in cost. It is not that much, but the thing, till your concrete quality is until you strengthen this concrete and you make it highly impermeable, these things will propagate as the time progresses. So this is very important. So you see this, you can see the concrete. See, they are exteriorly they have just plastered the surface. That was looking good, but after chipping off, you see there is no cement at all. Most of the particle, you can see the sand particles more than cement. So that means they haven't followed the required cement content. You see here, the sand content is more here. There is no paste content at all. Then how you will get the bonding when there is no when you haven't added the cement content adequately? So these are all the poor things which you have to um, take into a serious things which we cannot compromise. So in this way, so can you in this this is the sub-basement area. Can you collapse the entire structure? Can you demolish? No. We have to repair and rehabilitate. No other go. The cost will go 3 times. If he demolishes that, the cost will be thing. Only this portion was damaged. Only these adjacent portions like this. But whereas the superstructure and other places were okay. But if entire thing was like this, then it is a bad sign. You how much loss? Say, imagine this has occurred 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Just imagine the initial investment made by that client. All his money is went in vain. So these are the things. And this is another one case study, the footover bridge. You can see in this footover bridge, the pathway. Recently, we have worked for many bridges also in this case. See, they have sealed this and they have raised the wall, masonry wall, in such a way that when the people who comes in the dark, when they dark time, in the night times when they walk on the pathway, they won't be able to identify. So there is a severe, so there will be a severe accident. There is a chance of losing his life also. Okay, so that insensitivity, so this has to be rehabilitated. So this is repairable. We can do it. We cannot demolish the entire bridge, because this is a very important bridge. Okay, you see this. So for that, for the safety purpose, the barriers were built in such a way that the pedestrian should not come over here, and it is our duty to put some cautionary signboards also. Okay, with the fixed with reflectors. Especially this should be readable in the night times. So the reflectors boards should be fixed properly. So what is this? So this is one thing. This can be repaired, and you can see yeah, the adjacent portion of this bridge only. The expansion joint. This is the expansion joint portion. The the expansion joint is collapsed. You see here, this is the steel element which is linked for one joint to the another joint. So this is the hollow, the 20 millimeters or 25 millimeter spacing, whatever we have given here. So that joint is distorted, and you see here the lap has got cut. So we need to rehabilitate this. Why this has? Because this is with the periodic movement of vehicles and other things, and the poor maintenance of the structure. So externally, it has caused lots of wear and tear. Because of lots of wear and tear, this joint got collapsed. So every time the expansion joint should be sealed, and for few frequent downpour, when the downpour was coming, so they didn't seal the joint properly. So the joint has to be maintained, especially in the bridges. You have to, because the first part of your elements, the structural element will be like this. Second part of the structural element will be like this. So there will be a joint. It should not expand or contract due to severe things. So mandatorily you have to give it for the bridge element that. So these things are highly essential. So if the expansion joint fails, then your girder will severely it will fail. The girder means, I mean to say, the slab, deck slab. The deck slab should not go any failure. So this is distorted now. So you have to make it in back into the position. You have to chip off the deteriorated thing, and you have to go ahead. So for all these things, you should have the proof why this has been distorted. They will ask, what is the root cause, why it has. They will ask several questions. So you should be in a position to face their questions. You should reply them also in a very convincing manner. Okay, so this is the other view of the bridge. How after doing the repair works, and how yeah, the joints and other things is tied in the lower bottom portion. These things. Okay, so this is another thing, and this is a silo, cement storage silo, RCC silo. The silo is severely corroded, and then uh, so we worked on this. So we have, and then what we have done, we have actually speaking, we chipped all these things, and we were measuring how much is the intensity of this corrosion, and thereby what happened after in the later part, how this was brought to the original position. We have rehabilitated, and this is in a proper way. We gave some protective coat and other things. We made the concrete more denser. So this is the thing. So for all these things, you should first do the diagnosis. What is the main cause? What is the primary cause? And then you have to suggest the apt repair methods. And again, the building which that caused fire, whatever I have shown in the initial photographs, coming to this, you see here, luckily the reinforcement, only the cover block was spalled, and the hooks, the fan and other things, the ducts didn't fail. Electrical conduits, whatever that was passing, it didn't fail that much. It was encased. It was properly done. So the concrete also, the quality was good. So luckily this got escaped. So only thing, because of the huge intensity of the fire, these zones should be strengthened properly. So that is the thing. And the rebars started exposed, and we were testing how this how what was the corrosion depth and other things. So we protected the rebars. So there are further again other things. Luckily not much severe corrosion. Because of the heatage of fire, the concrete got spoiled. So only thing, you need to strengthen this concrete. You have to strengthen this surface. The concrete should be completely strengthened, and then it can be done. Luckily the building was not hit with excess fire, though the intensity was 80 degrees or 90 degrees. It was okay. Half of the thing, otherwise this electrical PVC conduits and everything would have been burnt. Okay, so these are some snapshots. You see how black it is. So you need some preliminary treatment to undergo these things. You have to see the feasibility. How is the structure? Is it possible to strengthen? Otherwise, if you touch, it will become like a buff. It will debuff. So that is the thing. So these are the things. See how the intensity of the fire got hit, and all these things. So these are some strengthening techniques which was used. So what happened in this that black portion you saw in the previous, no? So we were chipping off all the things, keeping the rebars intact wherever that has come by providing the proper props. See here, I have given adequate props. Otherwise, if I just leave it, though it was surface level, but the cover is completely exposed here. Luckily, rebar is not badly corroded, or it didn't happen anything. Because the intensity of the fire heat was very less. Imagine if it was 500 degrees or 600 degrees, concrete would have been gone. You cannot do anything for this. So that is why in fire aspect, you have to be very careful. So these works were redone. Still the bars were made visible, and it was coated with epoxy paints or zinc chromate paint, and then it was made intact, and the conduits and everything was rechecked properly, and the ducts and everything, the proper provision how it was. And this is the final finish. The concrete surface, the slab surface, the base slab, that is the surface need to be strengthened. The concrete has to be strengthened, then it will be okay. Because luckily the rebar was not got severe vulnerability. It was not melted or anything. Because of the intensity of the heat was very low, it was escaped. It was a narrow escape. Otherwise, if you would have left for few more hours, say 3 hours or 4 hours, the scenario is completely different. So this was stopped. The loss was stopped in a quite early stage. So that is the reason why it is. So this is another thing. So with this presentation, short presentation, I will close my day's presentation. So now I will open the session for discussion if you have anything.
Thank you so much, sir. So any discussion or questions regarding the presentation, you can post in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and ask, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Srinivas Prabhu.
Okay, Srinivas Prabhu from?
Sir, from Sri Ishwar College of Engineering, Coimbatore.
Okay.
Sir, my question is,
Hmm.
so what is the reason for peeling of paints in walls, sir?
Peeling of paints in walls is of various reasons are there. Maybe some fungal attacks will be there. And because if you would not have maintained frequently, those things will be there. Mainly because of the fungal attack. If there is some dampness, because when you go for some any masonry wall construction and anything, you can see lots and lots of dampness. Lots and lots of dampness in the wall will be coming. So because of the dampness, what will happen is The plaster coat, whatever you would have given maximum, at the maximum, you will be going for 12 mm or 8 mm or 6 mm or 10 mm based on your requirement. So what will happen is that plaster will get stressed. So because of that stress, what will happen? The plaster strength will be very less only. So what will happen? It will peel and it will stop to a moment. So that is the reason why whatever the exterior coat or interior coat of your paint, whatever you have painted, it has peeled off. So that is because of the dampness and some external agents like fungi and other things. When it comes into the thing, fungi will come only because of dampness. So if you ask me the first question, it is only purely because of dampness. So that is the primary cause of all, and thereby it shows its figure, its complete picture.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Manjunath. We had a question in chat box.
Mm.
The question is from PK Nigam. So, anode-based prevention of corrosion in steel is effective or not?
Actually, speaking, it is called as cathodic production, because you have to coat with some rebars and other things. You have to do some. You have many methods. Okay, but that is the rebars to be coated. Either you can use some zinc coats, or you can use some zinc chromate paints over it with some roughness in the surface, so that you can safeguard. So if you see that the environmental exposure is very bad, if it is very bad enough, then what you have to do is you have to go for this prevention techniques. You have to coat your rebars, and then you have to use it.
Thank you, sir. So, there is another question from PK Nigam. So, which type of waterproofing is good for STP?
I cannot suggest any brands. You see, because it depends, varies from one cement to other cement. The compatibilityness and other things are there. So when it's a X brand of cement, and when I use a Y brand of waterproofing, so that might not be compatible to each other. It won't be. There will be some compatibility issues over. So I have to see its effectiveness. So what will be a very good thing? So mostly I will be suggesting, rather than going for liquid types, you can go for some powder types. So some famous brands will be there in their locality. I don't want to mention any brand names here. So they can see that, they can experiment. Only thing, you have to experiment that in a small portion of your structure, and you have to ensure that nothing has happened. So only by experimenting only you can tell that. Nowadays the waterproofing, all brands are made in such a way that it is compatible. So it is up to you, because if I say some brand, then it will be like a marketing. So they have to see whichever is the famous, for what type of cement they use. If it is very compatible, and if the specifications, whatever it is satisfying, they can use that. That is the correct way of selecting. Don't blindly select the things only for the brand sake or anything. First and foremost, it should be compatible with the cement. So when I use that Y brand of damp proof, in case if I use some sulfate resisting Portland cement, or some other cement, rapid hardening cement, it might not be compatible, but it would be very much compatible with OPC. So again, I think he has asked another one question. Is that Ramya Devaraj? In flexible concrete, coarse aggregate is eliminated. Is this type of concrete to ensure the strength? What is that flexible concrete? Can you please tell me in a clear manner? Coarse aggregate is eliminated means, for any work you have to use. Without coarse aggregate, if you use, then it is a mortar. We cannot call it as a concrete. Okay, again from PK Nigam, crystalline based waterproofing is self-healing property or not? Crystalline based waterproofing is self-healing property. See, that varies from company to company. It will vary. See, what is self-healing? You mean to say if it is cracking, it will seal the cracks by its own? It cannot be. It cannot be. You cannot say, you cannot claim, because the self-healing and other properties is totally different. That we cannot relate with this with these things. Okay. Ramya Devaraj, your question is not clear to me. What do you mean flexible concrete? I don't know what is flexible concrete. So if you use without coarse aggregate, then it is not a concrete, it is a mortar. Okay. Then Assistant Professor Civil Weltech Chennai. Sir, how to repair the vertical cracks at the junction of cross walls? Both are load bearing in masonry building. Please show me the photograph. If you have any consultancy projects like this, if you have any opinion, you can ask me. I will suggest that, because just with the wording I cannot tell how it is, because I have to study how that has occurred, and then only I can come to some conclusion. So as far as this repair works and other things is that, without the proper photographs and other things, or without proper visual inspection, we cannot, or the photograph should be clear cut. So whatever it is, I have to go to the visual inspection and I have to see what has happened. Then only I can say, because the vertical crack, many things are there. You can do some crack stitching method in that. So crack stitching method means I have to see. I cannot do crack stitching for small crack depth and another thing, crack width and other things. So I have to see the intensity of that crack, how it is. Then only I can suggest crack stitching. So I hope you understood why I said this. So without knowing the correct thing, I cannot tell you the correct method of preventive method. Then Dr. M. Sedapati, HOD Civil PCE. The framed structure building is located in black cotton soil. The age of the building is 3 years. The compound wall and paver block was collapsed. Which method is more suitable for repairing? So it's a very good question. So first and foremost, the compound wall gets collapsed means the foundation, whatever they have made, it would have been with the direct contact, or they would have made a very lean foundation for that. So that has to be tied properly by means of belt beam, and that concrete should not have a direct contact with black cotton soil. That is the reason why it got collapsed. So so I need to see again. I need to see what sort of the thing. So if it was a direct thing, and if the foundation was collapsed, if the compound wall was, definitely it will collapse, because it will settle. First and foremost, it will settle, and you will get some uneven cracks due to the movement, because clay has the capacity to contract and expand in the summer and the winters. So that is quite vulnerable. So I need the photograph. So if you have any suggestions regarding any further things, you can contact me in my mail ID, or you can post some comments in my YouTube channel also. Just type Karthikeyan Jaykumar. You can see my channel. So whatever you want, you can interact with me over there, so that I can help you to a best possible extent. So these repairs and rehabilitation, please remember, without proper photographs and other things, we cannot suggest any suitable thing. And moreover, I have to come and visually inspect. Other than that, I cannot say a good solution for that. So I think questions. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, madam.
In your busy schedule, you have a lot of time for us. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge to our participants.
Okay.
Sir, we have one question in the chat box.
Yeah.
So, what are the probable reasons for cracks propagating from roof beneath to wall in the masonry buildings?
I cannot see that in the chat box. That question is not there. What are all the?
So it is below that PK crystalline based waterproofing.
what are the probable reasons of cracks propagating from roof beneath to the wall in masonry building? See, it is of different thing. But you can see one crack. I can show you in my home also. There is a crack over here. Let me switch on my video. I will show you. So might be it can be even shear. So I don't know whether it is visible. Can you see this? You can see a crack. So this is the
Yes.
roof slab, and
Yes,
you can
sir.
see diagonal crack. So this is purely, it is like a shear crack. So this is my quarters, college quarters. So sometimes because of the stress concentration, whatever the load that is imposed, so because of the stress concentration and other things, it would have been more concentrated on the support end, and you will get some diagonal base cracks. So in that case, what you should do is, when you should give some 1 mm or 2 mm gap between the beam element and the masonry wall, or between the slab and the masonry wall. A very minimal thing, 1 mm or 2 mm. So in that way, whatever it is, when your slab gets deflected to 1 mm or 0.9 mm, your masonry wall will not get that much loaded. So what happens is, the load transfer mechanism will be minimized. It will be more concentrated on the supports rather than at the center portion. So this is, they didn't give proper joints. Some 1 mm or 2 mm minimum free space, free joints should be given. So if that was there, this crack can be avoided. So this comes frequently in many buildings like this. So that can be rectified. And most of the concrete picture you show are little whitish colors, sir. It has to be gray. What do you mean? I think Manjunath.
Sir, yeah, I understand, sir. So the picture you shown in that area, sir, nearly near Tirchi or somewhere. So mostly they are in white color.
It is not a fresh concrete, man. It is it
Okay.
is all it is all 10-year old or 15-year old, which has alternate exposures. So
Okay, sir. Okay.
that might be whitewashed, and it would have peeled off. Many things are there. Many criteria are there. And when it is open, when it is in the open access, the color change will happen. Just you take your concrete sample, freshly prepared concrete sample in your lab, dilute it with 5% HCl solution, and you immerse it for 1 day, and you just keep it exposed in the open atmosphere for just 5 days. You see the color
Okay.
change. It will become like pale yellow. So
Okay,
that
sir.
is because chlorides and other things, other agents are there, no? So that depends upon the vulnerability of the thing. Even when the fire gets heat, naturally it will change its color, no? So you
Okay,
cannot expect the same gray color.
okay, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
And Devigan Alaga Muttu. Dear sir, good presentation. The quality of the concrete depends on the water cement ratio and the pH of water. Yes, correct. But in practical, they will not care about the quality, since they are taking the available water from borewell. Why a suitable action could be taken to rectify this? I told this. It's a very simple problem. It is in the hands of the site engineer. So the workers should have a fear, and it has to be done systematic. If you see in foreign countries, the concreting work will be very systematic. They don't bother. There won't be any site engineer or a supervisor. Supervisor will be for namesake, but he will be very duty conscious. So if you ask him to pour some one more cup extra, he will say no, 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 no. He will say like that. So that is the difference between here and here. So it is the thing, the managing capability we have to know, and he is not educated. You have to train him and you have to educate him. This is the thing, you have to use it, and you have to keep monitoring. So that is the role of the site engineer over here, because here it is you have to maintain some strict quality. Otherwise, this will impact much in your concrete. So that's the reason why I say, if you maintain the concrete quality properly, you will never face any repair and rehabilitation unless otherwise if it is. So most of the 80%, 85%, other than the natural disaster, 85% errors is committed only by humans. We only do whatever the flow charts and other things, whichever I have shown you. Okay. I think any more questions? Already madam has thanked. So if there is no question,
Okay, sir. Thank you
Thank
so much, sir. There is a good interaction.
okay.
And one more question is there, I think.
Yeah.
From
Purushottam.
Purushottam, sir.
Generally in residential building, the people using tar coat up to basement level, is it necessary? Is there any treatment? Generally in residential building, the people using tar coat up to basement level. See, basement level, why they use is because if there is any seepage, okay, it is nothing but a damp proof coat. Why they do is the seepage, if the groundwater table rises, because in the rainy time the groundwater table will be very high. In the summer time the groundwater table will go low. So the dampness will start from that level only. So in order to restrict that, they do it in the basement. In the basement level, they put some tar so that it will be what to say, it will act like a DPC. It is a DPC only. Okay, you will not allow your water to ingress further onto your superstructure. If your masonry wall comes, then all these things. The first question somebody asked, no, the peeling of mortars and other things. So that things can be avoided. So this damp proof course should not come. Otherwise, it will be keep on propagating. You will get all the fungal attacks on your walls and everything. All sorts of cracks will come. So that is one thing. So this is the answer for this. Any more questions? I think it's done, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you
then,
so much, sir.
thank you, madam. Then can I leave?